So we continue with the essential will, our true will. I was saying the other day that sometimes difficult situations bring us in touch with that, with our capacities. Emergencies in life, all of a sudden we become centered and we can deal with situations which seem to be very difficult. Some people not, some of us panic and they disconnect even more. There is a threshold where some or different character styles. Some people more disconnected from this, and so they stress very much, and they kind of grasp, to catch up with the situation, to put up with situation. While some of us in emergency can really be centered and deal with, natural catastrophe sometimes. People, the resources of people is amazing. What happens in difficult situations. So when we are connected, feels like being some sort of Tai Chi master. We're walking through life in some elegant stillness in movement. And we feel like we are not moving, we're flowing. Everything happens without any effort. Even when we are efforting, we need to do something, putting effort feels natural, feels like relaxed. It's really wonderful to be in that state. You're just walking in stillness, moving in stillness. Maybe you have experienced that in your life sometime. And that can translate also psychologically. Sometimes we can be in the midst of a very difficult confrontation situation, relationships, and we just feel so centered, so relaxed. Even if part of us is engaged with a difficult conversation or confrontation, something inside is very centered. There is no conflict, there is no judgment about the aspects that are conflictual. Conflict is welcome, even. There is space for everything. We are relaxed into being stressed even. It's paradoxical. It's a very wonderful experience when that happens. And often, sometimes with the difficulties, it can happen all at once. We can precipitate into the center, and it feels so like you can really notice the shift of your state. So let's say we call it a spiritual aspect, but it has a lot of implications in our daily life, in the doing, in dealing with situations. So it really is the expression of the human, as I was saying before, it's our capacity to deal with life, with situations, to change, to learn, to adapt. It's a wonderful aspect of the human being. And we saw that obviously how that was welcome was met in our family as a big impact in the way that we feel confident in life. If everything that we wanted to do was put down, that natural capacity, it becomes shy. And then we feel that we cannot do anything. So the childhood, the early experiences are very important in how we can access, trust ourselves. And so this kind of confidence that comes from being connected, it's not the Western confidence, which you just do it and you will win every time. It's like you're confident you do it, you try, and sometimes you also lose. It's not guaranteed. You as I was saying yesterday, you participate, and you're okay with the things that don't work out as well. It's not always win. So the life of the individual is made of victories and losses, of successes and losses. Some things work out, some relationships work out, and then they stop working out, and then we change, we move on. It's not a failure. It's just natural things of life. And we can be there in all of these situations, in the winning, in the losing, in the Sometimes we need to give up. Something didn't work out. So it's a confidence that we feel that we can be with whatever happens. We will manage even the failures. So we are one option more, not always winning, but also failing, also letting go of something that is old, it doesn't work out, it doesn't serve. Like, sometimes you talk to people that have, maybe at the end of a marriage, they feel like they lost, they feel like they're ashamed of that change, but we see so it's so normal, the relationship change, and that people, it's not a failure, it's just life. Sometimes you lose someone. It's just the nature of life. So there is a certain wisdom that comes with this quality also when we are connected. It's that wisdom to take life in this fullness with all of the different situations, events that can happen. Physically, it feels like I was advertising in the meditation. Feels dense, we feel dense when we are connected, we feel present, we feel solid. Even in this movement, even in the movement of the physical body, we feel dense and solid and immovable, like a mountain. It really feels like solidity. Certain culture, they have, like Germans, for example, they have a lot of this capacity, of this, this solidity of being. So certain culture, Japanese also, they have this discipline. So certain culture, they embody more of this quality, certain less, maybe they embody more other qualities. So we're all familiar with this. But, as I was saying, even the culture or the people that embody more of this quality, they can embody in a very rigid way. So they have will, but it's iron will. It's like a train. It doesn't have that flexibility. So we see that the conditioning makes this will, can make the will very rigid. And the person doesn't see the other options. Losing is not an option. Giving up is not an option. Doing it another way is not an option. So the will is still there, the capacity to adapt, to be present, to meet life, becomes rigidified in some people. And then you really, when you're next to them, it's almost disturbing. They are so fixed. Just do it that way. No, but I put some cultures are very rigid. You go to some restaurants and the waiter comes and moves it to the other side. Just like the rules. It becomes so obsessive. It's like rigid. I don't want to name the culture, but it happened to me many times. They like to say no to everything. So to the extent that people were told no to their manifestation in childhood, then when they grow up, they start to say no to everything. They just want to impose that discipline onto everyone, not that way. You need to do it this way. I live in a place where it's very much like that. It happens all the time. So now we explore, we talk about. So this, what I'm, we are taking a journey. We are traveling into trying to understand this quality, our personality structure, the virtual reality that we build, that is disconnecting us from the natural self, the natural I. So we have an X-ray. We try to understand how this works. So there is something very interesting, very important to notice in our experience, that at times when the conditions, life situation becomes difficult, rather than having access to that quality, we don't. We feel we don't have it. We feel disconnected from the capacity. And we call this the hole, like hole as something missing. We feel like we don't have what it takes. We look at everybody else and it looks like they know, they will, they got it. We often project on other people that our own capacity, our own qualities, we project it. So we see other people are all going to make, and we feel we can't show up to that. We cannot cope with that situation. We don't have what it takes. And so we start to feel shaky. So it's physically, we start to feel collapse when we're disconnected. The situation is we think it's too difficult. We start to feel shaky. We don't have the legs, we don't have anything. We feel wobbly. The belly collapse. Rather than feeling the fullness that I'm talking about, connection, that we just meet life with this fullness, we start feeling imploded. It often happens after the negative. Yesterday I was talking about the negative feedback when somebody maybe say, no, you can't make it. Somebody that we trust, that we rely on for support, say, no, you can't make it. Give up, you better give up. And we feel that lack of support, that we were using the person to feel confidence, that confidence we talked about. And when they pull it away, we collapse, because we didn't rely on our own belly, in our own being. We were relying on the ideas, on the belief system. And that belief system can be pulled. Often parents, unconsciously, to protect us, they do that. They try to protect us by discouraging us, because they think it's too much. They want to save us from trouble. And so that with good intention can become something that we later in life suffer from. We constantly second-guessing ourselves and do not find the capacity to connect to the belly, to the will, and feel that we want to try. We want to do it. We have what it takes to venture in this. So this whole is very important to understand, because it happens in our life. We can show up. And when we know what it is, we stop believing the idea that we don't have what it takes, and we realize it's it's an illusion, the whole. It's trauma. It's a memory, it's a difficult memory, the difficult memory of when we disconnected from that natural will that we had in childhood. So the disconnection, that we look at children, we think they're just children. It's such a big deal to be a child and grow up and let go of the spirit, the living spirit. So when the child is discouraged, often when we feel this hole, this deficiency, also we feel shame. We're hiding it. We don't want to tell our friend that we feel collapsed. We defend, we pretend, we avoid everybody. Or we don't talk about it, we pretend about it. And why is that so shameful? Because you could, okay, I can't do it, but no, for the person it's so shameful, because it was so hurtful when we were discouraged in childhood. Because for the child there is no difference between me and what I want to do. What I want to do, there is no cognition, it's very innate. So when you say no to a child all the time, you're breaking their spirit. You're really discouraging of being themselves. You're taking away the natural expression of the self. So it's very shameful to having been so limited. So it's very painful for also psychologically. There is shame around it. So the child, as I was saying, it's not simple, this process of being fully connected to, you see them, they just see something, they walk that way, they want to grab it. Just I and what I will is happening as one. So when they need to stop learning, we needed to stop learning. Stop before you do it. With the negation on top. That disconnection is eventually, it is very traumatic, because then the child doesn't know all of this psychological stuff, doesn't know anything, just feel the absence, the disconnection from this natural engine. And it doesn't understand, there's no capacity of cognition, so it just feels empty. And that disconnection existentially is very painful, because that is the spirit, that is the God inside, the fire inside. So when we are coming up to, when this memory, when this trauma start to be excavated because of life situations that we want to meet, we feel we cannot meet, and the memory of the traumatic disconnection comes back into our field. And it's not true. It's a memory, but it feels so, I feel so collapsed, we feel so collapsed, because that's how it felt when we let go in childhood of that will, the natural will. So that is something we need to work with, we need to be able to stay with, be with, because as long as we escape it, we do not connect with the real will. We always effort, we pretend, we try harder, and it may work out, but it's not working out from that place of me. So in order to access, return to the core, to the real will, we need to be able to stay with the deficiency, with the feeling of deficiency, collapse. We need to be present in the collapse. Allow ourselves to collapse. And then, generally, there is some kind of resurrection. Generally, you see that in children. Big tantrum, like there's no more hope, the toy is broken, you can't fix it. Big tantrum, they can't cope with the situation, they can't fix it, they cannot accept it, it's that tantrum again, and then they collapse, and often they fall asleep, and then when they wake up, they forget all about it, and they're playing with something else. They come back in another form. So in a similar way, when we allow ourselves to collapse, to go through that hole and let go of trying to fix something that may not be working, like a relationship, for example, something like that. When we let go and everything, then even the same relationship maybe cannot be fixed that way I wanted, but maybe I realize there's another form now. I can enjoy the birth of a new form of that relationship. My expectations were making me unable to see the relationship that has evolved. It has another form. So even something dying doesn't mean that it's finished. It's just one aspect died. And then as I collapse, I let myself be with the failure, then I resurrect and see reality, and reality always unfolds in another way. Reality doesn't put up with our tantrums. So the feelings, at the beginning of the feeling of the whole of the thing is experience, we feel anxiety. At the beginning, it feels like we start to feel nervous about something. So the first signs is anxiety. We know we have to do that, whatever the deadline, whatever it is, then we start to feel nervous about it. Rather than feel relaxed and confident, we start to feel nervous. So the first signs are anxiety. Sometimes this we can have it around also feeling confident as a man, for example, or a woman can manifest in many ways psychologically, like feeling like we don't have what it takes to be in a relationship, like something is missing for us. It can manifest in many fields of life. And of course, then to avoid that anxiety, then we may decide, well, I don't want relationships. Easy that way, I don't deal with it. Rather than, really we want, but that deficiency takes us away from what we want. Because sometimes, it's to be honest about ourselves. It can be very humble, we may need to expose something which is not our idea of being confident. So to be real is not always to be the winner. It's also exposing, showing up as we are, and sometimes it's with being vulnerable, for example. For a man, can be more difficult than for a woman to be vulnerable. So that can translate into giving up. Anxiety, we start to feel anxious, then we want to give up, and then we rationalize it why we give up, because anyway, either it's not going to work out, you're wasting your time, or she's not the right person, or this is not the right situation. So we make a rationale, a story, our mind presents a story, why there is anxiety, we shouldn't do it, is a sign, something is wrong, so better avoid the situation and be safe. And then we do not go for what we want, which has no guarantee for success anyway. Nothing is guaranteed. The ego would like the guarantee, sometimes it's not guaranteed. So often when we feel that anxiety and the deficiency comes up, we feel like we are small compared to other people. They got it. We don't have what it takes. It's like we become child again. We're reliving that memory of that, as I was talking before, the disconnection, the reality that in childhood we were not fully developed, so we couldn't. I remember my mom used to tell me that I was getting upset in the bathroom because the sink was too high, and I was getting upset. So why don't they make children sinks? Now they do. But it's frustrating, when you can't do something. And in childhood, we are still small, still to develop. So there was a reality in the fact that we couldn't do certain things. We were not mature enough. So when we experience that ego deficiency, that hole, we experience the memories of when we couldn't do certain things that were too big for us. And so we feel that child again, feel that incapacity again. So, they also call it, feeling castrated, like I feel like we can't do, we really have something missing, the energy missing. It's like, for what, we don't have what it takes. So the teaching is saying, if you have this knowledge, if you stop pushing, if you stop trying to escape from this hole, if you let yourself fall, magic happens. Magic can happen. Which your natural will can show up again in a new form and deal with the situation the way that is possible. And feeling relaxed with what happened. So that is the whole of the will, that is the teaching of the whole.